Okay, this is we are WT USAT Data and Facts. I'm Steph. This is Don,
Howdy.
and this is kind of a. I'm about to spill my drink.
Careful. Don't want to lose that nectar.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You
Merry
got
Christmas.
got a Coors Light, yeah,
Merry Christmas.
yeah. So anyway, I'm the one that I said, Don, we need. He was telling me some data this morning. He accumulated a whole bunch of data from all the tournaments, all the opens this year, right? And
Yeah.
the Grand Prix,
Uh, yeah. So virtually all the G events,
all the G events,
including
yeah.
Worlds, Cadet Worlds, the University Games, the Women's World Championships, the German Open, all kinds of things.
And we've had, now that we have WAYCHAMP involved, that they've been using it, the German Open with the new rules. We've seen, and then we've seen the WAYCHAMP.
We saw WAYCHAMP at three events really that counted. The first time was in April at the Asian President's Cup. So the Koreans and Chinese and everybody
Okay,
got
well, I
a
want to get to the point where we talk about the shocking value of the data that you told me this morning. So
okay.
anyway, there's like how many WAYCHAMP tournaments that because I'm a little upset. I'm very upset
There's
at what
two
you
major
told me
ones. Two major
because of the
ones.
new rules and the way the PSSs are operating. So we've had a little bit of experience with WAYCHAMP this year.
Yes.
At how many tournaments?
Three.
Okay. So, and we've seen them, what looked like they were tinkering with it. It was working one way,
Yeah, but I've now reversed my opinion on that.
Okay. And then now there's the new KPNP Gen 2. And then we've got the new Daedo Gen 3 with the little square. And that's part of the new rule set.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? So what we wanted to go over today is the new rules kick in January 1st. So that's in what? How many days?
A week.
Yeah, in 1 week. This is going to affect everybody.
Yeah, no events till February, but
and
yeah.
it is going to be a fucking shit show. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is colossally horrific what's going to happen based on the data that you were telling me this morning.
Sure.
All right, let's get into this.
Okay.
So the new rules January 1st eliminates the ring coach's head protest card. Now, why is that important, Don? And how is that going to affect the athletes
Well,
and their points?
in the simplest terms possible, it means that there's going to be far fewer head kicks, and it's different for each of the three systems that we'll get into.
Okay.
And and less points overall. So plus you mentioned the square on the Daedo, and all three systems have to comply because they're only doing electronic punch scoring next year, and we know that eliminates almost all of punching. And we'll come back to that
I'm
once
gonna
we've compiled the
add
data.
punching down here.
Okay, but I haven't compiled
I
all the
know, but
data.
you can
I got a
somewhat.
sense of it. But what we really want to talk about is what happened during all of 2025 with the three major systems and their different generations, and what percent of head kicks scores came from protests. Right?
Right.
Right.
So based on this year and what we've seen, let's go over Daedo. And from you were looking at some of the big tournaments, like
Yeah, all the big tournaments. Okay, so Daedo, the big tournaments are the early in the year, the U.S. Open and the Dutch Open, and then later on it includes Spain and the European President's Cup. That's a G3. That's a big one. And then on to the Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge.
Yep.
The Korean G2, the Korean Open, the Chungcheon Korean Open, and let's see, the German Open. We actually use Daedo as well. So those are kind of the big ones. There's some others scattered around, but those are the big Daedo tournaments.
Okay, so that's where you came up with, and so you're gonna post some charts later, correct?
Yes, I haven't done it yet.
So we're just talking about kind of the summary, but done looking at, calculating all the data, by site. He hasn't.
There's a massive amount of data.
There is massive. So, and he will be posting it. This is something that we wanted to get out like today because we only have 1 week until this affects everybody. And my attitude looking at this is, why bother? Because unless it's a Daedo tournament, which has the highest scoring of head kicks, your coach can't protect you anymore. As an athlete, your coach cannot protect you. When you kick the head, it's clear the helmet falls off and it doesn't score. And you got to rely on now you got to rely on a referee to pull a card.
Right.
And that didn't really happen too much at the German Open, which was the test. Guinea
yeah,
pig.
Exactly.
So anyway, let's go over the Daedo and the data. So basically, you said only 7 to 15% you have from protests.
Okay, so let me explain it. Since I wrote it down, why don't I explain it?
Then do that.
Thank you.
It works, so the protests are less because it's working more.
Okay. The data has, here's the total number of head kicks. And here's the head kicks awarded by protest, which are part of the total.
Well, and the protest head kicks means it didn't work.
Right.
The PSS didn't work. That's why you have to protest.
Right. The protests are a subset of the total, obviously.
Yes.
And so what this means is that,
let's round that. Don't put your hand in the way.
Let's round this to, let's say, around 10%. You know, around. There's a range.
Yeah, 7 to 15%.
So around 10, 12%, something like that. Around 10% of the total head kicks scored in Daedo, which scores the most head kicks, they came from protests. So in other words, it worked 90% of the time.
Okay, let's say that.
Okay, let's say that. It worked 90% of the time.
Worked.
And some examples, the US Open, only 7% of the head kicks came from protests. The Dutch Open, 12%. So there's a good example. Spain, the Spanish Open, which was in April, was 10%. Let's see, the European President's Cup, 13%. And this is total, men and women, all divisions, hundreds and hundreds of rounds. Let's see, the Charlotte Grand Prix Challenge, 9%. Let's see, another example.
Are we still talking about Daedo?
Yeah, Daedo.
Okay.
Okay. And one thing we notice is...
Don't get your hand in the way.
One thing we notice is that, and people, you've said this before, why don't you say that about chess gear? What do people believe about chess gear, Daedo, KPNP?
So I was talking to Don this morning while I was cooking, and and this is based on having observation. It seems like Daedo's headgear works the best. It works better than KPNP and definitely WAYCHAMP. But KPNP's chess gear seemed like it worked better than Daedo. So of the three, I think KPNP. This is Gen 1 KPNP, not Gen 2. So the original KPNP, their chess gear seemed to work better than Daedo's chess kick scoring.
Right.
And WAYCHAMP sucked with both headgear and...
We'll come to that. You're jumping the gun.
Chess gear.
So, yes, and you're right. Your sense of what your observations are correct. And you can measure this by what percent of points come from chess gear versus headgear. So,
but can we get to the rest of the data here before we jump to that?
Because we've only gone over we're just talking about headgear. Okay,
we've only gone over Daedo.
Okay,
let's. I don't want to drag this out for a long time. I just want to be blunt with the data.
You're being pretty blunt.
KPNP didn't work 55% of the time.
Right.
And that's based on the protest, which means you had to protest and then it was awarded, meaning it was a good head kick. It should have scored, but it didn't score. So it didn't work 55% of the time.
And that is that is without the coach losing their card. Sometimes the coach loses their card, they can't even protest anymore. So that number is the low end.
Yeah, that's the low end. It could be worse.
And let me give you some examples.
Okay.
Okay. So we pretty much all watch the Wushu World Championships, the G14 World Championships. 54% of the headgear, which is almost 55, came from protests. The exact same number at the Malibu Women's World Championships, the G4, late in the year, 54%. Oh, University Games, the G4 World University Games that were in July, 56%.
Wasn't that WAYCHAMP though?
No, that was KPNP.
Okay.
That was 56% came from protests. And so this is a very consistent number. Over half, and KPNP is really performing well when it's only 40%. Only 40. And there's some examples of that. But like Bulgaria was 40%. But in general, it's horrible. The headgear is horrible. So without that coach's card, you're not going to get over half of your points that you normally get from head kicks. Over half.
And that means that's like 50% chance of losing the match.
Yeah.
And so, which tells me that, so you might win or lose based on not your skill, but by this shit not working. And then WT went and changed the rules based on systems that don't work, implying that they do work, but they don't. Right. So I can't even imagine all the lawsuits to WT because of the damages. A lawsuit is over damages and all the money that will be spent for athletes that get damaged by losing points because the PSS doesn't work 55% of the time, or does, this isn't even covered, none of this covers chess gear working or not working.
Right. Yeah, we'll get back. We'll do that another time.
Because you can't protest a chess gear, so we only have data for the protested headgear.
Right. And speaking of chess gear, let's talk about WAYCHAMP.
Let's talk WAYCHAMP.
So WAYCHAMP has the lowest scoring. So what does that mean? So for example, the Daedo for men, is a range, but let's say it's 16 to 18 points per round, the combined two athletes. KPNP is a little lower because even though the chess gear works a little better, the headgear totally sucks, and you can't always get your points from protests. WAYCHAMP is sort of the worst of all worlds. It is the lowest scoring, only around 12 points per round for men, lower than that, 8 to 10 for women, points per round for the two athletes. And their headgear is not as bad as KPNP. 25% of the points come from protests, but it's definitely not as good as Daedo, the headgear. So if you were watching the events at, especially at the Bangkok Grand Prix Challenge, there's a couple others that I've watched as well, the headgear really doesn't work that well, and the body gear hardly works at all. The body gear has the lowest scoring by far, because you can't do any of the just put it at your foot and flick it around anymore.
Which a lot of people like that. Yeah. With the chess gear, because it really makes you do Taekwondo. None of your little like boom 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 flick flick flick
right
works. Right. However, their headgear doesn't work worth shit.
Right, headgear doesn't work, and the chess gear is worse. The chess gear is worse. It's the hardest to score on of all the three.
Yeah.
You have to really pound it, back leg, really heavy hit without an arm in the way. So that'll score, but that's not very often.
Okay.
So
that's the main thing that we wanted to cover.
Yep.
Basically, Daedo of all of them works the best overall. Yeah. If your coach isn't gonna have a card and you're an athlete and you've got no protection now, you got no protection in the ring anymore. They've eliminated that. You think the volunteer international referee in the middle is going to protect you, who might been taken out to dinner the night before and got paid off by who knows who? We know that's happened. We know firsthand that's happened. So I don't trust the referees. I know there's a lot of good ones, but there's also a lot of bad ones, and you don't know. It's Russian roulette who you're going to get. So
yeah.
But based on this, if I was an athlete, I wouldn't do any tournaments unless it was Daedo, and especially with the Gen 3 now with the punch square, at least the referees will be alerted, whether to alert, because what's the other data that you talked about?
So you're talking about punching?
The KWON.
Yeah.
They're basically eliminating the KWON again.
Yeah. So, I haven't compiled all the data yet, so this is just a first glance, but it's going to be pretty close. So early in the year, with especially Daedo, but also KPNP, the athletes were being awarded around one punch per round. So that's per round. So, one of the athletes will get a punch per round. There's an event.
Which is bad. I mean.
There's an event that it's 2. So the high bar is 2 punches awarded per round. So 1 per athlete kind of thing. And then during the year, that started to go down. And then mid-year, it absolutely plummeted with the introduction of that square on Daedo. And it must have been working on KPNP too, because now, and it's gone lower than this, but I'm going to say this number, it's gone to about 0.2 punches per round. So in other words, 1/5, 20% of what we're used to in terms of punching, and it's worse sometimes.
Awarded punches.
Awarded punches,
Yeah.
and this is forget about, oh, that was a really good punch, it didn't score. Now you can have a really good punch, and it has to register right in the middle, and the referees. This year it was 2 referees. Next year it's 1. One sitting down referee has to confirm the punch.
Well, that's better, right? If it's just one referee.
Yeah, but where is he or she sitting relative to the punch?
So if they don't, but at least there's an alert for it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
But if they don't see it,
I'm not sure how many fractions of a second they've got.
Right, and the other thing too is they're like eliminating. There used to be like KPNP used to have like 4 cameras each corner.
I don't know what.
And now I'm seeing only like 2 cameras.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's another factor. So punching is going down.
Remember when we did the analysis and we collected data. This is back at like 23, I believe, and we collected attempted punches from watching like gazillion.
Yeah, we've got the data.
Yeah, and it basically turned out like if you attempt 10 punches, you'll get 1.
Yeah, it was highly variable, but close enough. So yeah, punches are going down, maybe going away. They say
so it's not going to be Taekwondo anymore. It's going to be Daedo again.
Yeah,
Daedo, which sounds like a laundry detergent.
And we saw that with we didn't have the total number of a punch attempts, but they're from the eyeball test, they're definitely down.
Yeah,
because athletes know I'm really not. It's only if it's an important part of their entire move, their sequence of moves. Where, for example, a smaller athlete's trying to get inside, the punch kick thing. Yep. Those Russians do it all the time. Those little Russian women. And of course, there might be some clinching in there. So anyway, we're going to compile. There's so much data. It's going to take me almost forever, but the next couple of weeks to compile and present this. You found a treasure
trove of data.
I found what looks like a World Taekwondo website.
You said you weren't going to
where I managed to download a whole bunch of stuff, and it's so complicated. I'm not going to bother you with it, but I love it. So we're going to get the definitive answers. No, we're not sampling anymore. Where we're taking 6 out of 10.
No, we've got access to every the straight data right from the PSS software.
Yeah. So this is fantastic information.
Yeah, it's more accurate than we're like right on with our sampling data. But
this is a good summary.
Yeah,
this is a good summary. I like it.
But like I said, you don't have a coach to protect you anymore. So Daedo works 90% of the time as far as like head kicks. KPNP, works 45% of the time.
Less than half.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
And then WAYCHAMP is like 75% doesn't work. And that they're changing the rules to this, which I don't. It's not justified to change the rules to that.
Right.
But they want the matches to go faster.
They will.
They'll go faster, but they won't be fair.
Right. So remember one thing I said in terms of we've got one experiment where they did
the German Open,
the G2 German Open.
Yeah.
They said no spin kicks and no protest cards. So the interesting thing was the average scoring was about the same, but the percentage of points from head kicks plummeted, of course, as you'd expect. So the women, 65% of the points were from body kicks, and for men, 73% of the total points were from body kicks. So if you love body kicks, this is an example of what's going to happen. If it works.
At the German Open.
At the German Open, and that was Daedo.
Oh, okay. Daedo Gen 3.
Daedo Gen 3, including the punch thing.
Okay, but
there were very few punches. But we'll show you that.
They didn't award the spin kicks at the German Open.
No.
But they are allowing spin kicks for the new rules.
Right. Back kicks are an important part of scoring. There's so few turning spin kicks to the head that's really not going to matter. There's a few people that can pull them off. You'll get 6 points. Good for you.
Okay. Right. Do we have anything else? You had some other stuff you wanted to talk about.
Well, I got some other things that I mentioned.
This was me having a panic attack when he told me like how it's when he compiled this just by eyeballing it, these statistics or the percentages of them not working and the new rules coming in. I was like, oh my God, we have to let people know.
Yeah. Let me just go through a few things. I'll go through them pretty quickly.
All right.
So
we're done with
this is posts I've made since our last podcast in early November after the World Championships. So just to highlight some things I put out, just to remind you. Top 50 USA coaches. Congratulations to Andrew
Yes.
O,
Yep.
Team Champions USA in New York, #1 by quite a margin. Pushed Gus Vila and Villa's Taekwondo #2. A whole bunch of regular people that you're familiar with in the top 10. One thing to note,